Hello and welcome to today's Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Dr. Susanna Alter.
And it's Dr. Benjamin here.
And we're both naturopathic doctors who support individuals in reversing disease and reclaiming optimal health through whole food plant-based nutrition and mind-body medicine. And in these Wisdom Wednesday calls, we cover the topics of innate well-being, innate peace, innate wisdom through the lens of mind, thought, and consciousness.
Yeah, so we're excited to talk about this idea that just came to Susanna's mind of weathering the storm. And let's face it, we've all experienced the internal turmoil or storminess of our thoughts. And sometimes, I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for anyone else, but I know sometimes for me, it feels like it will never end. It feels like there's no way out. It feels like Armageddon, right? The end of the world. This is it. What the heck? I have no clarity. I have no inspiration. I have no insight. I'm just completely entrenched in stress, in despair, in depression, and anxiety. You name it. I mean, I've been there. I don't know about you out there, but there's no doubt that the storminess of our emotions are real and palpable and intense. So we're going to talk about what to do and how to weather that storm.
What to do?
what to do? What not to do? What to do? What not to do?
Well, we're going to talk about weathering the storm.
Yeah.
And we've used this language in previous episodes, the idea of thought storms, right? Because we have talked a lot about how it is our thinking that creates our experience, our emotions, our feeling state. And it's really helpful to remember that when we are stuck in a cyclone or a huge downpour or, hurricane. But it can be the hardest thing to remember. And
well, do you want to share the reason why this came up? You just told me. I thought maybe you'd want to tell the rest of the world.
I was just getting there.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that last night I experienced a really thick, dark storm for probably about 90 minutes, 2 hours until I went to sleep. It was a short-lived one, but, it was intense. And for me, it was an insecurity storm. I've been playing around with putting myself out there a little bit more with my personal self-expression. I've been doing so on my Instagram, what do they call it? Page, not channel. Instagram page.
Feed?
Instagram account.
I
don't know. There's all these social media words, right? But anyway, putting myself out there more. And yesterday I was inspired to post something. And minutes after I posted it, I was second guessing myself. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? This is too much. I'm exposing too much. Oh my gosh, what's everyone going to think? My reputation, my clients, am I just, what am I doing? It was this downward spiral of insecure thoughts. But through it all, I decided to keep it up because there's part of me that kind of knew that this storm was happening for growth in a way. But gosh, I was luckily, I had my compassionate husband present with me, and I was just...
Don't blame it on me.
No, but I was, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Don't blame me for getting out of your storm.
Right. But anyway, one thing I just want to highlight from this experience is that when I was in it, it felt so real. It felt so real. The feelings of not being good enough, of being inadequate, of being whatever. It felt so real. No matter what I tried to do, I couldn't convince myself out of it. And actually trying to convince myself out of it, it ends up actually creating more mental busyness. Right.
I've been
more activity in our thoughts. Yeah. Which actually kind of can perpetuate the storm. So yeah, I just really want to highlight that, for anyone who feels like they've been through a storm recently or they're going through a storm recently, like you're really not alone. It's all humans go through storms from time to time. Feels like it's never going to end, but if we can really remember the truth, which is that what we're feeling is not real. We're just feeling our thinking, and that, like all weather patterns in the world, it passes. Things pass eventually.
Well, I really love the storm metaphor as well, because what comes to mind for me is like the what's that movie? What's that movie where they're chasing the tornadoes? Twister.
Ooh,
And
that's a good one.
they're like hunting the tornadoes, and they like they drive, and their goal is to get right into the eye of the storm. And I think maybe I'm making this up. It's been decades, but I think there's a moment where they get into the eye of the storm,
Yeah.
and it's still.
Yeah.
And like the eye of the storm is peaceful. And there's this tendency to not to like we feel uncomfortable, and we want to like resist the storm. We want to run away. We want to like distract ourselves. We want to avoid the feeling. We want to eat or exercise or drink or smoke or use social media. And not that there's anything wrong with our tendencies and desires to do that. And even if we give into that, like that's a great way of following what feels good. But also the truth is that when we really just courageously give into what's going on, and in doing so, we allow ourselves to just be pulled into the full presence of the moment, it's actually so peaceful, right? Because you realize, oh my gosh, I'm alive. I'm alive, and all this is happening, but I'm alive, and really embodying the present moment in that moment. That's all there is. And in that moment, there's a recognition of peace and groundedness. Maybe it's just like a fleeting microsecond, but enough to at least be tethered to that. So we can like, I think back to the movie, they hold on to things, and like everything's getting ripped out from under them. And then they're left like just holding on to something. And the fact is, we do have that to hold on to always. We do have something to ground onto as the storm just tears everything apart. And then, like you said, Dr. Susanna, the end result is growth. The end result is like a newfound strength and appreciation, an ability to be more compassionate and empathetic with oneself, and maybe an ability to be more compassionate and empathetic with the rest of humanity, which shares this normal human phenomenon of getting pulled into thought storms. And then we just recognize that shared experience and that collective consciousness. And to me, that's like bringing us humanity from all corners of the globe and galaxy, from all belief systems and from all ideologies and religions and races and whatever. We all share this, and this experience brings us together, and recognizing that brings us together. And I think that there's just such collective growth opportunities in that.
Yeah. And I also just want to, kind of really break it down. Like if we're going through the storm, and we don't like how it feels, and then we start thinking like, okay, got to get myself out of this. I got to get myself away from this feeling. Okay. Should I process or journal or whatever. But it's important to realize that if we find ourselves in the storm and we're resisting it, we are actually adding another layer of thought that this isn't okay. I'm not okay. It's not okay for me to be feeling this. And that can really perpetuate this stormy mind. But what was interesting for me last night, whenever a storm comes, there's always this kind of new level of awareness through it. For me, as I was going through the storm and I was feeling so much all at once, I was also kind of reminding myself, like, this is just from my thoughts. This feeling is coming just from my thoughts. It still feels really intense, but it's just coming from my thoughts, and it will pass. And as I remembered that, I remembered that all I need to do is actually not do anything. All I need to do is really just feel and really just embrace it as part of the human experience, and know that I am going to be on the other side of it soon enough.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I actually went to sleep, woke up, and it's so interesting. This morning I woke up and I thought about what happened last night, and I was like, literally, like, why was I so worked up about that? Now from this perspective, it's like, whoa, I see that I was entrenched in this tornado in my mind. But from, the other side of it, it was like, Susanna, it was just some silly thoughts that you were buying into, and that's it.
Yeah. And then on that note, Susanna, like, it's often, and I know I've fallen into this, again, speaking from my own experience, the only experience I have, sometimes I look back and I judge myself, and like I carry the weight of that negative thought storm into there's this residue, and we don't need that, because that's not real. That's not what's present. We carry it. And so, yeah, we certainly don't have to do that. Yeah. Well, back to the paradox of it all is that we so desperately want to do something to get out of the bad feeling.
Or we want to blame someone for the bad feeling.
That's a good point too, right? That's really easy to do. Oh, that gosh darn guy who cut me off in traffic. Oh, that person who made that nasty comment on my Facebook post. Oh, my mom. We can do that all day, every day. There's no shortage of people or situations or circumstances outside of ourselves to blame. But the fact of the matter is, we don't blame ourselves, but we take responsibility for how we're feeling. And in that is our strength. And as uncomfortable as it feels, we'll wake up, maybe figuratively or literally, one day, one morning, and realize, like you did this morning, well, that was kind of silly. And we just have a new insight, a fresh sight, a fresh experience, and the world will never, ever be the same. And we just level up insight by insight, without any doing. All the doing, whether, like you said, the journaling or the meditating or the yoga or the walk in nature, all of that stuff is optional. And we do it.
Last night I was trying to get Ben to make me feel better.
Yeah.
And it didn't help.
Tell me something good, Tell me a joke.
Yeah.
Let's watch a YouTube video. But I was going to say, for me, honestly, like in terms of the practical, I'll just say, like, putting the feet on the earth and exhaling just has a way for me, again, to remind me of where I am, and also bringing my nervous system into a state that is grounded. I think you could say, the parasympathetic branch of the nervous system is activated. And let's face it, I mean, I don't know if there's any scientific research on the facts, but I think we all can probably comprehend how, when we're in a peaceful state, when we're in a parasympathetic state of the autonomic nervous system, we're grounded. We have more access to creativity and to common sense. When we're stressed out, boy, common sense flows out the window. When we're fearful, our critical thinking abilities flow out the window. We don't have that ability. So bringing the body into, restful state could be a first step. It helps me. It can. But yeah. But then, just like you said, just that remembrance, just, that glimmer of, oh yeah, this is okay.
Yeah.
Hold on to that.
Yeah. And, what comes to mind, the quote that comes to mind, which often comes to mind, is the Sydney Bank quote, which says, if the only thing we were to do is not be afraid of our human experience, that alone would change the world. And you know, for example, last night in my own little personal experience, it's like, wow, if I was really just accepting what I was feeling, well, you know, it wouldn't be so bad, right? It really takes the edge off. Then I can really just actually enjoy the crazy experience of insecurity, right? Is that a wild idea? Enjoying insecurity. But you know, I guess I kind of want to take it into a different direction, because this is something I've been thinking about so much right now with just current events. And, you know, there's just a lot of division that I think a lot of us perceive amongst communities and families and the world right now. Just totally different ideologies, totally different viewpoints on what's happening in the world. And, you know, it's so interesting to consider, what if everyone took radical self-responsibility for their experience? What if everyone was okay with what they were experiencing and they didn't blame it on others? They didn't try to fix it with outward, you know, forceful action, or they didn't try to, you know, control others, or they didn't try to numb themselves with, you know, harmful substances or whatever it is. It's just amazing to think of what the world would be if everyone actually fully embraced their human experience in the moment and took responsibility for it, knowing that it only comes from our thoughts and nothing else.
Yeah, to me, that's really true sovereignty, you know, is owning that and taking responsibility. And obviously what ripples out is responsibility. If we're responsible for our internal human experience, then we're also responsible for our health individually, right? And we're responsible for everything that flows out of us, everything that we consume. You know, that's a good place to orient towards, at least if nothing else, owning that in our here and now present moment, and forging a reality that cherishes that celebrates that normalizes that sovereign responsibility.
Yeah, and it really does start with the individual. To me, you know, it feels like it really just starts with, once again, me feeling everything that is feeling, not trying to hide from it and not trying to act out from it, just letting it flow through.
Yeah. And sometimes another practical thing, right? Sometimes that means, well, actually, oftentimes it means doing nothing. Mm-hmm. You know, it means canceling your plans. It's clearing your schedule if you have the freedom to do that. Or even if you don't have the freedom to do that, you know, take the penalty, you know, whatever that might be, the late fee, the, you know, the no-show. That's not the end of the world, right? Like, it's okay to prioritize yourself. And what that, maybe that means laying on the couch for a day, giving yourself the dignity of that process, whatever it looks like, to weather the storm.
Yeah. Yeah. Tuning into wisdom.
Yeah. So hopefully, I know it always helps us to air out these ideas and have these talks and reconnect with the truth of our humanity. So hopefully these conversations support you in connecting with what you know to be true. And feel free to share your comments, feedback, share this video with someone who might resonate with it. And a reminder that we have our Peace on Earth program that explores all these kind of topics and takes things to the next level. And obviously it's a conversational sort of thing that takes place weekly. So if you're interested in joining us, you're invited to do so.
Tonight even.
Yeah, just check out the Peace on Earth page, alter.health/Peace on Earth.
Yeah, but actually our next meeting is tonight in an hour. An hour? Really? Yeah, in an hour. And you can join on a sliding scale.
That's right.
As low as $25 a month. So anyway,
peace and love, you guys.
Peace and love.
We look forward to seeing you